What are you doing here? She stood in the doorway, dark hair cascading over her shoulders, her tone cold enough to freeze breath. I opened my mouth to explain, but a cheerful voice floated out from inside. Sis, don't be mean to him. A girl ran out, grabbing my sleeve. He's here for the date. I froze. 3 years ago, I broke up with her sister because I couldn't stand her suffocating control. Now I was standing at her front door, being stared down by her like prey. She whispered, low and dangerous, "You've got some nerve." The door clicked shut behind me, and I knew there was no easy way out. 01 being single at 32 meant my mother's daily phone calls had become a form of psychological warfare. Keep being picky, Caleb, and you'll be scraping the bottom of the barrel. I threw my phone onto the sofa, my head buzzing. Overworked, unstable income, social anxiety, and a tendency to stutter when nervous. I knew I wasn't exactly a catch in the dating market. So when a friend forced a girl's number on me, swearing she was legit, I hesitated for a long time before agreeing. The date was Mia Vance, a college junior, 10 years my junior. I initially refused, but my friend pushed, "Don't overthink it, man. It's just dinner. Just meet her." I caved. It was nearly 7 in the evening when I arrived at the apartment complex. The Seattle winter was biting, the wind cutting through my collar, making me shrink into my coat. A mix of anticipation and dread churned in my stomach. It wasn't that I hadn't dated before, but my last relationship ended so messily that I'd been avoiding anything serious ever since. I gritted my teeth and took the elevator up. The moment I pressed the doorbell, I was already strategizing my opening line. Be polite, don't be silent, keep the conversation flowing. The lock clicked. I turned to stone. Standing in the doorway was Elena Vance, my ex-girlfriend. She was wearing a dark silk robe, cinched tight at the waist, the harsh white hallway light making her skin look porcelain cold. She lowered her gaze, her eyes sweeping over me like a knife. "Who are you looking for?" My throat tightened. I couldn't speak. It felt like a hand was squeezing my heart. Elena. Why was she here? Before I could process the nightmare, a soft voice came from behind her. "Elena, that's him. That's the guy I told you about. The one I like." I blinked, seeing a girl with a messy bun pop her head out. She was delicate, pretty, her eyes bright as polished glass. This had to be Mia. "Elena? Sister?" Elena let out a cold laugh, the corner of her eye twitching upward. "For a scammer, you certainly picked a bold location." Her tone suggested she was looking at a thief caught mid-heist. My palms were sweating, a chill running down my spine. The world suddenly felt absurd. The blind date my friend set up was my ex-girlfriend's little sister. Mia grabbed the doorframe, biting her lip as she looked at me. "Don't mind my sister, Caleb. She's in a bad mood today." She turned and yelled back into the house. "Mom and Dad went out. They'll be back for dinner later. Come in and sit." I wanted to refuse, but the words stuck in my throat, so I stiffened and stepped across the threshold. The air inside was warm, smelling of central heating, yet I felt like I couldn't breathe. The living room layout hadn't changed in 3 years. The position of the sofa, the vase on the coffee table, even the pot hose plant in the corner, it was all identical. My head started ringing. We had moved in here together, laughing about building a future. Now, it felt like walking into a mausoleum of my own failures. "Sit," Elena commanded, her voice like ice. I lowered my head to change my shoes, avoiding eye contact. My mind was a mess. Why her? When we broke up 3 years ago, I deleted every trace of her, swore never to see her again. But fate apparently had a twisted sense of humor. "Mia, pour me a glass of warm water," her voice nervous. "Caleb, don't be scared. My sister's bark is worse than her bite." Before I could respond, Elena was standing right in front of me, looming. She crossed her arms, her gaze heavy. "Who agreed to let you come here?" I didn't answer, afraid my voice would betray my panic. Elena sneered, her words sharp. "After all these years, you're still the same. All you know how to do is run." That stung. The breakup had left me terrified of the word run, but she knew exactly where to strike. Mia tugged at Elena's sleeve, whispering, "Elena, stop, you're scaring him." Elena shook off her hand. I took a deep breath, trying to maintain some semblance of manners. "I didn't know you were sisters. I just came for dinner. And now you want to leave?" Elena raised an eyebrow. I stayed silent. Mia pulled me toward the sofa, her tone cautious. "It's really just dinner. I want to meet you. I asked for this." Her eyes flickered, cheeks flushing slightly. Nervous, but hopeful. Elena, however, just stared. Her gaze traveled from the tips of my shoes, up my legs, across my chest, finally locking onto my eyes. It felt like she was peeling me open to see if I was still hiding her inside. The clock in the living room ticked loudly, each second reminding me I was sinking into quicksand. The awkwardness in the air was suffocating. Mia suddenly forced a smile. I'll go check on the food. You guys relax. When the kitchen door clicked shut behind her, muting the sounds of cooking, I immediately stood up to leave. Elena grabbed my wrist. Her fingers were freezing. Stop acting, she hissed, stepping closer. You think I don't know? You're just fast at running away. I tugged my hand, but couldn't break her grip. If anything, it made me want to flee more. Elena, we're done. Who says? She stepped closer, her voice low but crushing. You brought up the breakup. I never agreed to it. The sentence winded me. I had ended things because her control was absolute. I was young and thought I could just walk away. I didn't realize that 3 years later, I still hadn't escaped her shadow. I struggled to get the words out. Stop this. Stop. Elena smiled. You think today is just a coincidence. A spark of anger lit up in my chest. What does that mean? She didn't answer, just stared at me, waiting for me to crumble. Just as the standoff became unbearable, Mia's voice called out from the kitchen. Elena, be nice to him. Elena released me, turning back to the sofa, her tone flat. If you still want to run, try doing it at the dinner table. I stood there, chest heaving, heart hammering against my ribs. I had a bad habit of never facing problems head on, but I realized that this time, avoidance wasn't going to work. Mia came out with plates, saw me standing, and blinked. Why aren't you sitting? I forced a smile. It's nothing. She gently took my sleeve. The force was negligible, yet it felt like she was placing a soft shackle on me. Come on, Mom and Dad'll be back soon. 02 the table was quickly filled with food. A full spread, roast chicken, sides, a salad, everything looked restaurant quality. Mia had clearly put in effort. Her sleeves were rolled up to her elbows, her face flushed from the heat of the stove. Just simple comfort food. Let me know if you don't like anything. She handed me chopsticks, her eyes shining. As I took them, Elena sat down opposite me. She didn't look at me, just slowly ladled soup in her bowl. The spoon clinked against the porcelain, a tiny, sharp sound that made my back tense up. Mia used serving chopsticks to place a honey-glazed rib in my bowl. You like sweet things, right? I froze, instinctively dodging. No, I don't. He doesn't eat sweets anymore. Elena cut in, looking up, her tone bland. My chopsticks hovered in midair. Mia paused, visibly confused, and smiled it off. Okay, I'll save that one. She switched to some asparagus. This time, I didn't dodge. The atmosphere was wrong, but no one acknowledged it. I kept my head down, eating, trying to look normal. But just as I swallowed, I felt something lightly brush against my shin. Soft. Accidental, maybe. Thinking it was the table leg, I shifted my feet inward. A second later, the touch returned. Enfin. Sliding. Slender, cool. My breath hitched. That wasn't a table leg. I sat rigid, keeping my head down, but my peripheral vision caught Elena's leg extended slightly forward under the table. She was wearing black stockings, her toe resting right against my trouser cuff. She wasn't looking at me. She was calmly drinking soup, her expression serene. My throat tightened. I wanted to move, but the space under the table was cramped. Retreating meant hitting the chair. Mia was still talking. Is your job stressful? Mark told me you work a lot of overtime. It's fine. I managed, my voice raspy. The foot pressed again, closer this time, sliding up the inside of my ankle. I clamped my legs together. My chopsticks hit the bowl with a loud clack. Mia jumped. What's wrong? Nothing. I squeezed out. Elena finally looked up, glancing at me, a ghost of a smirk playing on her lips. That look made my scalp tingle. Mia served me more food, pushing the bowl toward me. You're too thin, Caleb. Eat more. I was about to speak when the foot under the table pressed firmly against my calf. Deliberate. My breathing grew erratic, my heart racing so fast I could barely hold my utensils. I can serve myself, I said. Mia's hand paused. She seemed to sense something, her gaze lingering on my face for 2 seconds. Are you feeling okay? I was about to nod when Elena spoke for me. He's always like this. Can't focus when he eats. Her tone was natural, as if we were still a couple. In that moment, a wave of indescribable emotion washed over me. Anger, shame, and the humiliation of being exposed. I remembered how she used to control every meal, what I ate, how I sat, correcting me like I was her property. I thought I was free. Turns out, only the location had changed. Mia smiled. Well, take your time. No ruse. She withdrew her hand, but not her gaze. I shoveled rice into my mouth, desperate to end this meal. But Elena clearly had no intention of letting me go. Her foot didn't retreat. Instead, it lingered, occasionally brushing against me. A reminder that she was still there. I was sweating, pinned to the chair. Mia suddenly put down her chopsticks, her tone serious. Elena, stop staring at him. The air instantly tightened. Elena looked up, slowly turning her eyes to her sister. I'm checking to see if he's lying to you. He's not lying, Mia said, her voice quiet but firm. I reached out to him. My heart sank. Elena's foot finally stopped. She stared at Mia, her eyes turning cold. You're young. You don't understand people. I'm not a kid, Mia shot back. I know what I'm doing. Their gazes clashed in midair. I was stuck in the middle like the main course. Enough, I couldn't help but say. Don't fight over me. Two pairs of eyes turned to me simultaneously. Mia looked worried. Elena looked like she was evaluating a specimen. Just eat, Elena said flatly. Don't make a scene. She pulled her foot back, but crossed her legs, so she was leaning even closer to my side of the table. The sense of danger didn't vanish. It just shifted. The table fell silent again. The sound of chewing was deafening. I forced myself to finish the meal. Every bite was a reminder that I was sitting at a table where I didn't belong. This wasn't a date. It was a hunt, and I was the only prey. 03 by the end of dinner, I couldn't taste a thing. Mia stood up to clear the table, moving a bit too fast, trying to diffuse the tension. You guys sit. I've got this. She smiled at me and took the plates into the kitchen. The living room went quiet, a silence that made me panic. Elena leaned back in her chair, tapping her finger on the table. Top, top, slow. She wasn't looking at me, but she had me pinned. I stood up. It's late. I should go. Do me a favor, she interrupted. Her voice wasn't loud, but it brooked no refusal. I paused. What favor? The light in my bedroom is acting up. She finally looked up, staring straight at me. You used to be good at fixing things. I instinctively wanted to say no, but Mia popped her head out of the kitchen. Oh yeah, the light in Elena's room flickers like crazy. Could you take a look, Caleb? It'll only take a second. Her tone was innocent, her eyes expectant. I stood there, trapped. Refusing seemed petty. Agreeing felt dangerous. Just 5 minutes, Elena stood up. Fix it. Then you leave. She turned and walked down the hallway, giving me no time to think. I gritted my teeth and followed. The hallway was narrow and dim. Her silk robe swayed ahead of me, the curve of her waist so familiar it made my chest ache. The door shut behind me. Click. It wasn't a loud sound, but it hit me like a hammer. I spun around. The door was locked. What are you doing? I frowned. Elena stood in front of the door, back against the wood, her dark gaze fixed on me. What's the rush? Her voice was calm. Aren't you here to fix the light? The bedroom light was on, bright and steady. I realized I'd been played. Unlock the door, I said. She didn't move. Elena, we're broken up. That sentence seemed to trigger something. Her expression finally cracked. Broken up? She repeated softly, tasting the words. That's what you said. She walked toward me, step by step. I instinctively backed up until my spine hit her desk. You come to my house, sit across from me at dinner, and try to act like we're strangers. I didn't know it was your house. I hissed. I knew nothing before I got here. Really? She stopped right in front of me, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Then why didn't you leave the second you saw me? I was speechless. She stared at me, her eyes cold and bright. Or is it that, deep down, you couldn't bring yourself to leave? My chest tightened. I looked up. Don't twist everything to fit your narrative. She suddenly smiled. It was an unsettling expression. Then tell me. She lowered her voice. Did you come here for my sister? I froze. What? Her hand shot out, grabbing my collar, yanking me forward. Do you think she's easy? Young, naive, falls for few sweet words. Her proximity messed with my breathing. I tried to pry her hand off. Let go. Answer me, she pressed. Are you here to hook up with her? In that moment, anger flared in my chest. Are you insane? I snapped quietly. She's your sister. So what? Her eyes grew colder. Does that make it okay for you to use her to get to me? I finally ripped her hand away. It wasn't rough, but it was enough to make her stumble back a half step. The silence in the room was terrifying. She looked at me, verifying something. You initiated the breakup, she said slowly. Are you scared now? I'm not scared. I took a deep breath. I just don't want to be treated like this by you anymore. Her brow twitched. I continued, my voice low but clear. You're still doing it. Controlling me, forcing me, deciding everything for me. I put up with it before, but not now. I surprised myself. I had never spoken to her like that. She stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly reached out and touched my face. Her touch was feather-light. You've changed, she said. I turned my head away, opened the door. Her hand hovered in midair. The atmosphere curdled. Faint water, sounds came from the kitchen. Mia was still working, completely unaware of what was happening in here. You think you can walk away? The moment you showed up, you dragged her into this. My heart sank. Don't make this complicated. You appeared first, she said. The second you walked in, it stopped being simple. I was done arguing. Open the door, I repeated. She was silent for a few seconds, then finally turned and twisted the lock. The moment the latch clicked, I was out. The hallway air felt like salvation. I didn't look back. Caleb Stone, she called from behind me. I paused, but didn't turn around. You think you can hide? I clenched my fists and kept walking. In the living room, Mia was bringing out a fruit platter. She blinked when she saw me. Fixed already? Yeah, I nodded. I have to go. She looked disappointed, but didn't push. I put on my shoes and stood by the door. Elena was standing in the shadows of the hallway, her expression unreadable. I opened the door, letting the cold wind rush in. I knew one thing for sure. Dinner was over, but the war had just begun. 04 the door shut behind me. Standing in the stairwell, I realized my back was soaked with sweat. The elevator hadn't arrived yet. I stared at the floor, my mind a chaotic mess. The emotions I had suppressed in that bedroom were bubbling up. Wait, footsteps behind me. I turned to see Mia running out. She had thrown on a jacket, her hair loosely tied, her face still flushed. I'll walk you down, she said, her tone natural, as if nothing strange had happened at dinner. I wanted to say no, but the words didn't come. The elevator doors opened, and we stepped in. The confined space hummed with mechanical noise, the air heavy. She stood next to me, not too close, not too far. Is this incredibly awkward for you? She suddenly asked. I hesitated, then nodded. A little. She looked down and smiled. I'm sorry. I should have told you clearly. It's not your fault, I said. The elevator descended, numbers ticking down. She was quiet for a moment, then spoke again. Actually, I know about you and my sister. My heart skipped a beat. I looked at her. Don't be nervous. She looked up at me. She didn't tell me. The elevator stopped at the ground floor. We walked out into the night wind, which was much colder than upstairs. She walked beside me, slowing her pace. Once, when you guys were fighting, I heard it from outside the door, she said calmly. Your voice was low, but I remember it clearly. My throat felt dry. I didn't respond. You kept apologizing, she stared ahead. But she wouldn't listen to a single word. I remember that day. My chest tightened. Back then, I thought you seemed so lonely. She stopped walking, turning to face me. The streetlight cast a clean glow on her face. Not the nobody to hang out with kind of lonely. It was the kind where someone is holding you too tight and you have nowhere to run. I was shaken. She shouldn't be saying this. She was so much younger than me, yet she saw things more clearly than I did. You don't need to think about that, I murmured. But I do, she said earnestly. That's why, after you stopped coming around, I remembered you. She took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. I like you. The words landed softly, but they hit me hard enough to silence me. Not because you're my sister's ex, she added quickly, and not on a whim. She gripped the hem of her jacket, her knuckles turning white. I know you're confused right now. I'm not trying to force you into an answer tonight, she said. I looked at her, feeling a weight on my chest. She was too genuine. So genuine, I was afraid to reach out. Mia, I said her name. This isn't right. Her eyes dimmed slightly, but she didn't look away. Because of Elena, right? I didn't deny it. She nodded, as if she had expected this. She hasn't let you go yet, she said. I can tell. I stayed silent. But that's not your fault. She looked up at me. You already left once. I smiled bitterly. Some things don't end just because you leave. She watched me, her gaze slowly hardening into resolve. So, are you running away now? The question was soft, but it cornered me. I opened my mouth, but all I could manage was, I just don't want to make things worse. But if you don't make a choice, things will keep moving forward anyway, she said. I was stumped. She didn't push closer. She just stood her ground. I won't force you, she said, but I won't pretend nothing happened, either. The night was deep, the complex lit only by scattered lamps. I suddenly realized this girl, who looked so innocent, was far more stubborn than I imagined. Go back inside, I said. She nodded, but didn't turn immediately. Can you promise me one thing? What? Don't reject me because of her. She looked at me. And don't go back to her because of me. My chest constricted. Okay, I whispered. She smiled then, turned, and walked back into the building. I stood there watching until she disappeared. Back home, I lay in bed, unable to sleep. I turned the light on and off, over and over. Elena's eyes, Mia's words, they played on a loop in my head. I realized the thing I'd done most in my life was retreat. Retreat from conflict, from choices, from any relationship that made me uneasy. But tonight, something had been shoved right in front of my face. Pretending not to see, it would only create more chaos. Car headlights occasionally swept across my ceiling, light and shadow alternating. I stared at them until dawn. For the first time, I wasn't in a rush to run. 05 after that night, I deliberately forced my life back onto its original track. Taking freelance work during the day, working overtime at night, keeping my phone on silent. Mia sent 2 messages, polite check-ins, and I replied briefly, busy lately. I didn't dare say more. Some boundaries, once loosened, can't be tightened again. On the 3rd night, I came home after overtime. The hallway lights were half broken, flickering. As I fished for my keys, I heard someone call my name. Caleb Stone. The voice wasn't loud, but my spine stiffened. I turned to see Elena standing at the building entrance. She wasn't in a robe this time. She wore a dark trench coat, hair loose, her face pale under the street lamp. She looked like she'd been waiting a long time, shoulders tense against the wind. My first instinct was to turn and bolt inside. How long are you going to hide? She walked quickly toward me. I stopped but didn't look back. How did you know I live here? If I want to find you, there's always a way. She stood behind me, her voice soft. You think changing your address wipes the slate clean? I took a deep breath and turned around. We don't need to see each other. She looked at me and suddenly smiled. It was a brittle smile, ready to shatter. Don't need to? Then why did you come to my house the other day? I told you. I didn't know it was your house. But you still came inside, she stared at me. You didn't turn around and leave. I was too tired to explain. Moo. Instead, she stepped closer, backing me against the wall. The hallway was narrow, the cold air clinging to my skin. Dare to touch her and see what happens. Her voice dropped, heavy with threat. I frowned. Calm down. Calm. She laughed coldly. You know exactly how she feels about you, yet you keep showing up in front of her. You call that calm? I already rejected her. The words slipped out. Elena paused, her eyes darkening further. You rejected her? Because of me? I didn't answer. She suddenly reached out, grabbing my lapels. Hard. Look, she leaned in close, her breath ghosting over me. You still care about me. I shove her away. Stop it. She stumbled back 2 steps, hitting the wall, but she didn't get angry. Instead, she slowly smiled. You're still the same. Your mouth says one thing, but your body is always hiding. She raised a hand, fingertips brushing the back of my hand. I flinched. She froze, eyes flickering. What I said in the bedroom that day wasn't all a lie, she whispered. After we split, I thought about it a lot. Thought about what? About whether I was too harsh, she looked at me. Whether I shouldn't have held on so tight. The wind blew, carrying her raspy voice. I can change. My heart sank. It was too familiar. Every time we fought, she would say this. Her voice would soften, her eyes would plead, as if my nod would reset everything. I looked at her and slowly shook my head. You can't change. Her expression shifted. How can you be so sure? Because you're doing the exact same thing right now, I said, threatening, cornering me, blocking me against a wall. Her fingers curled into fists. That's because you give me no other choice, her voice strained. The moment you appear, you force me back to square one. She suddenly reached out and hugged me. It was abrupt. I froze. Her forehead rested against my shoulder, her voice muffled. Caleb, I really didn't know how to keep you. For a split second, I wavered. I could feel her shaking, but then her hand slid to my waist, clutching with that familiar, controlling grip, checking to make sure I was still in her palm. That hesitation vanished. I pushed her away hard. Enough. My voice was louder than I intended. She looked stunned. I straightened my jacket, looking her in the eye. Don't come looking for me again. Not for your sake, and not for your sister's. Her eyes went ice cold. You're good at saying cruel things now. It's not cruel, I said. It's the truth. She stared at me for a few seconds, then laughed. It sent a chill through me. You think it ends this simply? Whether it ends or not isn't up to you. I stepped around her, keys in hand, and opened the door. No footsteps followed me, but I could feel her gaze burning into my back. As the door clicked shut, I leaned against it, chest heaving. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't look. I didn't have to guess who it was. I didn't reply to anyone that night. But I knew one thing clearly. She wasn't going to stop. 06 after Elena showed up at my apartment, I didn't go out for 2 full days. Work piled up, but I had no energy. My phone was silent, which only made me more anxious. That silence felt like the eye of storm. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, just after I sent off a project file, the doorbell rang. Light but persistent. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. It was Mia. She was in casual clothes, wearing a backpack, standing straight like she had made a decision. I hesitated for a second, then opened the door. Why are you here? I texted you. It didn't reply. She looked up, calm. I was worried. I stepped aside to let her in. The place was a mess, takeout boxes scattered around. I mumbled an apology. She didn't mind, dropping her bag and standing in the middle of the living room. My sister came to find you, didn't she? I stopped moving. Did she threaten you? I didn't speak. Silence was answer enough. Mia's expression hardened. How could she? Her voice was tight. I already told her to stay out of your business. Don't fight with her, I said instinctively. This isn't your problem. She looked at me, eyes rimmed with red. How is it not my problem? She's my sister, but she can't treat you like this. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang again. Louder this time. My heart sank. Outside stood Elena. She looked like she had just come from work, coat still on. Her gaze shot past me, landing directly on Mia in my living room. The air snapped tight. I knew you were here, Elena said. Mia went cold. Did you follow me? You're my sister, Elena said flatly. Do I need to track you to know where you are? I stood between them, scalp tingling. Don't do this here. I lower my voice. Go home and talk. Home, Elena snitted. You think she can go home now? Mia whipped her head around to look at me, hurt flashing in her eyes. What did you two talk about? I tried to explain, but Elena cut in. I was just reminding him not to hurt you. Hurt me? Mia raised her voice. He's never hurt me. That's because you haven't been dumped yet. Elena's tone was hard as granite. You think he's a good guy? Enough, I interrupted. Both women looked at me. Elena with scrutiny, Mia with hope. In that moment, I realized I had been pushed to a place where I had to take a stand. I haven't deceived anyone, I said. And I'm not trying to use anyone. Elena scoffed. Then why didn't you reject her outright? Mia jumped in immediately. He did reject me. Elena's expression faltered. You rejected her? She looked at me. Because of me? I didn't answer. But Mia understood. She took a step back, voice trembling. So, you're still worried about her? It's not worry, I said. It's that everything is too messy. It's messy because you won't choose. Elena stared at me. You were always like this. You forced him to be like this. Mia suddenly shouted. Elena snapped her head around. What did you say? You ruined it yourself. Mia's eyes were red. You cornered him until he had to watch how he breathed, and now you blame him for leaving? The words were a slap in the face. Elena's face darkened. What do you know? He left without a word. Left me standing there alone. Because you never gave him a chance to speak. Mia's voice shook, but she didn't back down. You only care if he belongs to you, not if he's happy. I stood there, paralyzed. It was the first time I'd seen him clash like this. No masks, no politevachins. Just raw, bloody emotion. Shut up, Elena hissed. You are my sister. Because I'm your sister, I can't watch you do this. Tears rolled down Mia's face. You don't love him. You're possessing him. The room fell dead silent. Elena slowly turned to look at me. There was anger, loss of control, and the humiliation of being exposed in her eyes. Is that what you think too? She asked. I didn't answer immediately, but my silence was the answer. Elena laughed suddenly. A light, chilling sound. So that's how it is. She turned and left, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Only Mia and I were left. She stood there, shoulders shaking, holding back sobs. I'm sorry, she whispered. I shouldn't have come. I shook my head. It's not your fault. She looked up, eyes full of stubbornness. But I don't want to hide anymore. I don't want to do nothing and watch her drag you back. Looking at her, my chest tightened. I finally realized that this wasn't as simple as seeing her or not, or yes or no. The more I avoided it, the deeper everyone sank. The chaos didn't start with them. It started because I refused to make a choice. 07, there was no cooling off period. 2 days later, Mia messaged me. Her parents wanted me to come over for dinner. The reason was simple. Some things can't be avoided anymore. I stared at the text for a long time before replying. Okay, not out of courage, but because I had nowhere left to retreat. The dinner was set for noon on the weekend, back at the Vance apartment. When I rang the doorbell, my heart was beating faster than the first time. That day was awkwardness. Today was open warfare. Mrs. Vance opened the door. She paused when she saw me, then put on a polite smile. Caleb's here? Come in. Everyone was seated in the living room. Mr. Vance sat at the head, expression stern. Elena was on his right, makeup flawless, expression frozen. Mia sat on the other side, back straight, giving me a small nod. I walked in like I was facing a tribunal. Before the appetizers even landed, Mr. Vance spoke. Caleb, there seems to be some unclear business between you and my daughters. His tone wasn't heavy, but it was suffocating. My hand tightened around my water glass. Sir, don't speak yet. He held up a hand. I want to hear what they have to say first. The air congealed. Elena spoke first. There's nothing to say. He didn't clean up his mess. Mia turned to her immediately. Elena, you can't say that. Then you say it, Elena sneered. Since you always have so many ideas. Mrs. Vance frowned. Girls, watch your tone. Mia took a deep breath and looked at her parents. I like him. I approached him. It has nothing to do with him. Silence dropped like a stone. Mrs. Vance was stunned. Mr. Vance's face darkened. Nonsense. You're still in school. What do you know about love? I know. Mia held her head high. I know what I'm doing. Elena laughed abruptly. You know? Do you know how he treated me? I know why you broke up. Mia shot back. And I know it wasn't his fault. The fuse was lit. Elena shot up, her chair screeching against the floor. Shut your mouth. I won't. Mia's voice trembled, but she stood her ground. You don't allow anyone to leave you, and you don't allow anyone to get close to him. You're not protecting anyone. What do you know? Elena lost it. He is mine. The room froze. Mrs. Vance turned pale. Elena, what are you saying? Mr. Vance slammed the table. Sit down. Elena ignored him. She turned to me, her eyes practically grabbing me by the throat. You tell them. Tell them there's only me in your heart. Every eye in the room locked onto me. My throat closed up. This was the exact kind of scene I was expert at fleeing. But now, taking a step back meant tearing everything apart even worse. I stood up. Mr. and Mrs. Vance, my voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. The responsibility for things getting this far is mine. Mia looked at me instantly. Elena's gaze tightened. I didn't handle my past with Elena well, and I didn't set clear boundaries soon enough. I continued. That has put everyone in a terrible position. But there is one thing I have to make clear. I looked at Elena. Her eyes held expectation, tension, and a paranoia that was spilling over. We are done, I said. The words were blade. Elena's face went white. It doesn't count. I didn't agree. Whether you agree or not doesn't change the facts, I said. We aren't right for each other. Then what about her? Elena pointed violently at Mia. She's right for you? Mia stood up. Elena, stop. Don't turn everything into a competition. Elena turned on her, eyes completely unhinged. You have to steal from me, don't you? I'm not. Mia shook her head. I just want a fair chance. You have no right, Elena screamed. You don't know anything. I know you're scared, Mia was crying now, but you can't use him to fill your void. That sentence drained the fight out of Elena. She stumbled, gripping the table edge. You're all on his side. I'm the only one alone, aren't I? Mrs. Vance finally got up and went to her. Elena, honey, calm down. Elena shook her off and grabbed my arm. Her grip was bruising. You can't do this to me. You can only be mine. In that moment, I didn't retreat. I slowly pried her fingers off. Acting like this only makes me want to leave more. She froze. Mia covered her mouth, turned, and ran out the door. The door slammed shut. The room was deathly quiet. Mr. Vance let out a long sigh. This dinner is over. I stood there, chest heavy. The meal had no resolution, but every hidden fracture had been torn wide open. 08 The fallout was ugly. When I left the Van Cess, the sky was already dark. The hallway lights flickered on one by one, failing to illuminate anything inside me. I didn't chase after Mia, not because I didn't want to, but because I finally understood that pushing forward right now would only create more chaos. The next day, I sent Elena a message. Just one line. Let's meet. Clear the air. She took a long time to reply. She sent an address, a secluded coffee shop. When I arrived, she was already sitting in the corner. No makeup, hair tied back loosely. She looked far more exhausted than she had at the dinner table. She didn't smile or sneer when she saw me. You came, she said. You said opposites here. I don't want to drag this out anymore. She stared at me for a while before whispering, do you think I'm terrible? I didn't answer immediately. The waiter came to take our order. She just asked for water. When he left, she continued. You weren't like this before, she said. You used to comfort me, give in, make me feel safe. That wasn't safety, I said. That was me constantly surrendering. Her fingers tightened. So you just left? I left because I couldn't breathe. I looked at her. You decided everything for me. Who I saw, what I said. You didn't even care if I was tired. She looked up, eyes red. I was just afraid you'd leave. But everything you did pushed me away. My tone wasn't harsh, but I left no room for interpretation. You controlled me, tested me, used threats and guilt to tie me to you. She was silent for a long time. The coffee shop was quiet, the background music barely audible. I thought that was love, she said. Love isn't a chain, I said, and it isn't a cage. Her tears finally fell. Not hysterically, just drop after drop. What if I change? She looked up. I'll really change. I looked at her, feeling no sway in my resolve. You're saying that now because you're terrified of losing, I said. Not because you actually understand. Her expression crumbled. Besides, even if you really changed, I continued, I can't go back. That was the final door closing. She lowered her head, shoulders shaking slightly. I didn't offer comfort. That would have been cruel. Don't look for me anymore. I stood up. And don't put me between you and your sister again. She didn't try to stop me. Walking out of the cafe, the sunlight hit the end of the street. I suddenly realized the weight pressing on my chest was gone. It was a strange feeling, like the first time I didn't have to look over my shoulder to see if someone was chasing me. That evening, I texted Mia, asking to see her. She sent an address quickly, the riverbank near her campus. She was sitting on a bench, hugging her knees. She stood up when she saw me. You came. Yeah. We sat side by side, leaving a polite distance between us. The river was calm, the wind occasional. I talked to your sister. I started. Her finger twitched, but she didn't speak. I rejected her, I said, and I made everything clear. She lowered her head. A moment later, she asked, what about us? I looked at the water. I'm not in a place to start a relationship right now. I need to sort myself out first. She was silent for a moment, then suddenly smiled. Not a forced smile. I guess that, she said. You've always been like that. I felt a pang of guilt. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. She shook her head. At least you didn't lie to me. She stood up, brushing off her pants. Then I'll wait for you. Her voice was calm. Not waiting for you to pick me, but waiting for you to be able to stand in front of me properly. I looked up at her. In the night, her eyes were bright. But I won't back down, she added. We didn't say much else. On the way home, for the first time, I felt that loneliness wasn't a trap. It was a necessary blank space. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out to see a new message. Mia, I'll wait, but I won't retreat. I stared at those words for a long time. Then, I put the phone away and kept walking. Story complete.